Hey, Amigas.
How's everybody doing?
Hey. Good. Surviving the quarantine.
Surviving is for sure, especially with kids.
So this is gonna be how we're gonna be doing the podcast. This is the new way of doing meetings. So to keep our social distancing, this is what we'll be doing for this book.
Yeah, it seemed to work out when we did our brunch. So we're going to continue to engage with all of our amigas here and just continue to talk about this book because we can't stop. I mean, this is more than ever when people are reading the most. So we want to continue to have everybody engaged at this time.
I miss you guys.
Miss you guys too.
So the book we're reading is Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg. She is the COO of Facebook. So we went a little different from the books we've been posting so far. This book is a little bit more on the motivational side, empowerment side. If you are watching or listening to our podcast now on YouTube, you can see that it's a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
If not, then you're just going to hear us like you normally would if you're using other forums.
Yes, so this book does focus a lot on women empowerment and just a little bit on just everything of women roles in work, home. But I did want to just touch base on something that really touched in the beginning of this book, which is right before the chapter 1, that it's not only for women. But I loved the fact of if you ever do want to recommend this book to someone else other than a woman reading this, on page 10, it says, where was it at? Right at the top, it states, she writes that she says, for those who are starting out, those who are taking a break, and many who want to jump back in. I'm also writing this for any man who wants to understand what a woman, a colleague, a wife, a mother, or daughter's up against so that he can do his part to build an equal world. So I love the fact that even a man can read this and understand friend, wife, colleague, and daughters. That's more important, their daughters, to raise them in this new era that we're starting to face,
Yeah. And just to backtrack a little bit, we're going to be reviewing pages 1 through 57, right?
Yeah.
To piggyback on what Beto said, I already started with like my son. I was like, you need to be able to grow up and do 50% of the housework. And he was just like, what? I'm like, important. So I'm raising a boy, which is amazing because that means there's going to be a great man in this world, right? That's the goal. And yeah, I love how she talks about how you can have it all if you do have a partner that's equally sharing the load.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, in our household, we have both girls and boys as kids, teenagers, and toddlers, and we show all of them the equal responsibility in this house. Everybody helps out in everything, and I'm very grateful that also my partner doesn't. We don't try to say, well, you always have to do the dishes, or you always have to do that. I mean, or you always cook. I mean, I'm so grateful and blessed that I got lucky with a partner like that cooks. I mean, I get home a little bit later, so at times he starts dinner or anything that he can help out with.
Well, I'm working on that, guys. I'm working on that. But I did highlight that to show my husband on page 9 how, it's part of increasing our self-confidence and for both male and female. And it's more of sitting at the table, getting our partners to do more at home, make your partner a real partner, not holding ourselves unattainable to standards and the myth of doing it all.
Mm-hmm.
We all can do it all. So I really do it all, guys.
Yeah. I mean, importantly, you have a little girl, I think, starting to show her that, hey, daddy can also help out. Ask him to help you to do that or anything like that.
And it's so true. Like, she'll ask, Mommy, play with me. Can we do this? And I'll be like, well, I have to do this. I have to do that. But why? I said, pues, and I tell her in Spanish, I'm like, pues, ¿quién más lo va a hacer? Tengo que hacerlo. We can ask daddy. I'm like, okay, ask him. And she did. She asked him, she goes, Dad, why you don't wash dishes? Andele. It was hilarious. But I mean, he was like, well, I do. So he did dishes with her one day.
Oh, that's good.
So little by little, she's like, when are you gonna do laundry? So it's like, okay, we're making progress.
That's good because that shows, right? Like she talks about how little girls we get taught a lot of this, and that right there is a good example that they're not born thinking this is what men do, this is what women do. That's why like JD's what 4, 5,
Mhm.
and she doesn't have that training yet.
Mhm.
Girls do this, boys do that. So to her, it's like, Dad, why aren't you helping? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it said somewhere that like since babies, like it's so different. Sometimes moms talk different to the boys and to the girls. They talk more to the girls, I believe, right?
Mhm.
mhm.
And then crawling, they expect the boys to crawl more, like faster than the girls or something like that. So that is very interesting. Also, even it comes off into the clothing brands, for little girls saying pretty like mommy, and the other one was strong like daddy. And it's like, why are we going to differentiate even on that? It's like girls can also be strong like mommy.
Yeah, and she talks about how like, and I've always said, I'm I don't call myself a feminist because I'm like women are amazing, they're better than men, we're not equal, which I say it jokingly. But for the most part, I feel like when she talks about when sometimes I hear like feminists say like, oh, well, women should be working and women should be doing this, and she's like, no, women should be doing whatever it is that women want to do. Like, if you don't want to be a CEO, don't be a CEO, right? However, I feel like the three of us, we all have very different like goals in life and live very different lifestyles. And I feel like it doesn't matter what we want to do with our lives. We have kids, letting our kids know that they have choices, right?
Right.
If our daughters do want to be CEOs, great. If they want to be stay-at-home moms, great. But letting them know they have option of both. Like I'm my child, he's gonna have to figure out how to cook and clean because he better be doing that when he grows up.
Yeah, you can't depend on anybody. You got to be able to still do everything on your own if you were to be alone for a while, like she was. She got married and it lasted, I think, a year, and then she went back to being single, and everybody was just telling her like, "Hey, when are you gonna get married? I mean, you're gonna be single for a while. I mean, it's okay."
Yeah. So I think I'm really loving that, right? The role model that we have to be the little girls around us, and how, a lot of times girls don't have certain dreams because they don't see other women having those lives.
Right.
Or their happiness or what they desire is different. So something that I highlighted in page 10 in chapter 1, and that one stood out to me, and that was like it right there for chapter 1 was many people are not interested in acquiring power, not
Mhm.
because they lack ambition, but because they are living their lives as they desire. Some of the most important contributions to our world are made by caring for one person at a time. We each have to chart our own unique course and define which goal fits our lives, values, and dreams. That right there was like, bam, like we all have different goals, different dreams. What makes me happy, will make you happy. And we just desire different things in life. And there's room for everybody to be successful in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
I
one,
think like
I'm like,
I
that was
always
it.
like think big. Like I do want to take over the world. And I always think I'm not doing enough. And what I posted was exactly that section that you read, was some of the most important contributions to our world are made by caring for one person at a time. And that's one of my biggest motivators. Every patient that I work with, in my friendships, anyone that I can help in my relationships, like if it's just one person, like it's such a difference, and that's what makes me happy. uh,
Hmm.
so I loved that line.
Yeah, that is a strong one. That's a gold one right there.
So, and then something else I like about the book that, and so far what we've been reading is, she talks about men and women.
Uh-oh, Nady, we're losing you.
We're gonna have glitches, guys, and that's okay.
That's part of
This
the
is this is part of quarantine life where sometimes we're gonna have glitches. So pick right up, maybe go.
Am I back? Am I alive now?
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So what I was saying is that something that I like about the book that I'm reading so far is that she's talking a perspective not from her own personal experiences all the time. She brings up research and data and facts and numbers, and we were just talking about this last night, but yeah, most of the time you hear people from my experience and what I think and this is what you should do, and she's bringing facts, and that I really like because we need to know more about research, especially about these topics.
Yeah, I agree. This one, I mean, she puts the information on where you can go and find all the research. So that's awesome.
Yeah. It's really cool, right? And then some of the studies you're just like, wait, that happened? Like, where are we? There are so many reasons. The section where, okay, so the study that really got me, and I was telling my son about it, is where they gave a classroom, half of the people one story, and the name of the character was Heidi, and the other half was Howard. And it was the exact same story. And Howard was a great guy, and Heidi was kind of a bitch. And I'm just like, damn, that's so true how we get depicted that way. I don't know if you guys noticed, I'm kind of bossy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed. And it's true. Like I'm always like, I feel like, oh shit, I should stop. I mean, I usually don't, but I do
Catch
feel,
yourself?
yeah. And it's because of that. Because when I'm bossy, everyone's like, oh my God, Jessica's so bossy. But when you're in a job and a man takes over, everyone's like, oh, okay, that's great leadership, And
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you all.
It's like, oh, it's okay that he's saying and doing all that in that way because, I mean, it's natural for a man to be that strong.
Yeah. And when she talks about like when she's a kid, oh my God, like every story of me is like Stephanie and Victor following me everywhere. And I spoke for them and I told them when to move and I told them when to stop. And everyone talks when they tell the story, they're like, oh, she's been bossy since she was little. And Michael, my son, was the same way. And people would, oh, he's going to be such a good leader. And I'm like, I think about it and I'm like, well, he's blessed because he has my personality, but he's not going to have that like internal thing that she talks about where she's saying how when she hears the stories about when she was a little girl, like, yeah, it's funny, but at the same time, it feels like, fuck, like, can you guys just like
Give me a
let,
little credit.
like, and I feel that
It was good.
I go through a lot of the stuff she talks about, which is pretty cool.
That's all pretty interesting.
I like how she talks about the work-life balance. That's a big one too.
I underlined just that phrase, work-life balance. Like what page was it?
I highlighted
Deeper in, no?
24.
Yeah, that's like deeper in.
24.
It was cool how she said like that's how they get you. They tell you work-life balance, right? Like you have to always have like this balance between both. But men don't think that way.
Right.
Men don't think like, oh, can I take this chance? Will it hinder my relationship with my children and my wife? And like, they just think like, oh, yeah, of course I'll take that. I'll take on more responsibilities. And they just call
More
home and,
money.
eh?
More money.
Yeah. And they'll just call home and like, oh, babe, I'm going to be late. I took on more work.
Yeah.
Qué fácil, sí, ajá.
And for women, it's like, no, you need to have a balance. Right?
Yeah.
It's like ingrained in us that we need a balance. Like we can't do things like that.
Right.
And I thought that was like, damn, that's how they get you.
So that's on page 24. Just did you find it? Did you want to read it?
Well, okay, so I thought I underlined it. Oh, No.
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
So, okay, let's see. Studies on work life balance and found that women who participate in multiple roles actually have lower levels of anxiety and higher levels of mental well being. Employed women reap rewards, including greater financial security, more stable marriages, better health, and in general, increased life satisfaction.
Dude, I think our books are different because that's on page 23 for me.
Oh, it's on 24 for me too.
A ver tu libro?
Is it
Let
the
me
hardcover?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is mine on 23?
Oh, no. Wow. We're going to have to look at that schedule again.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Well, at the end of that one, it does have the little number 37. Does yours have it, Jess?
The what?
The little number at the end of that sentence, number 37?
Oh, you have footnotes.
Yeah, yours didn't come with that.
Footnotes.
Oh, those are so cool.
That's what it is. So your page length will be like probably 5 or 6 pages longer.
Okay. Yeah, those footnotes are so cool. You have those, right, Nadine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those help out. So that one's on 37. Let me see where that one. I'm trying to find it where if anybody wants to read more into it. Oh, I can't find it. Okay, but yeah, that's a little weird that some people are not going to have these pretty cool footnotes that they can read more into it.
Well, I underlined where it says framing the issue as work-life balance as if the two were dramatically opposite practically ensures work will lose out, right? So like it teaches you that like it's so far-fetched to want life as a parent, and on the other side it's like work. Like you can't have both, you know?
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then
let's go into chapter 2.
well, me, the next page, which would be like 25 for you guys, I underlined we need more portrayals of women as competent professionals and happy mothers, or even happy for professionals and competent mothers. And I thought to myself, again, right, back to me, how this applies to my life, how like I'm a single mom of one, right? And his dad obviously has his role in his life, but he doesn't take the bulk of the responsibility, you know? And so for me, I share the responsibility with a lot of other women, right? So I take risks, I take more jobs, I work extra hours, I do community service, I do networking, you know, and I love it. Like I love that professional part of my life. And then I get so much backlash like, are you really a mom? And I'm like, you know, well, do you even actually take care of him? And it's like, if you meet my son and he's not 100% me, then you can say that I'm not being a mother.
Yeah, I mean, it's different also. I mean, your son's already a teenager, so it's not like.
It's like I've been doing it since he was younger, you know? And this line stood out to me because it's like there's this stigma, like I can't be a happy professional and a competent mom.
Right.
Right? It's like if I'm not the one picking him up from every sport, if I'm not the one making his lunches, then obviously I'm not a real mom. Right? But you meet my son and it's like I'm one of those moms that yes, I don't pick him up from school every day. I coordinate all his rides, I coordinate all his extracurricular activities, you know? But I'm also that mom that has like sits down and has deep ass conversations with my child. Like that kid can sit here and talk to you about feminism and politics and government and ask him where he got all those beliefs, and it's from his mom. And it's like to me, I'm like, dude, I've seen your kids. You feed them, you take care of them, you do all this, but you guys don't even talk to each other, you know? And it's like this belief that just because I do so much and I'm so like career driven, people give me so much crap about the whole mom part. Like, why can't I just be a competent mom? Right? Like, why do I have to be that mom? Like, and it's like such a stigma. Like, are you really a mom? Like, yes, I am.
Yeah,
100%.
they see it differently. You know, they like you said, they'll see it as more just always being there for all those things. And I mean, it works different for everybody.
And like I said, dads don't worry. You know what I mean?
Yes, because Jess, thankfully, but Jess, you have the team that helps you, and you have the option to pursue your career.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I'm blessed.
let's think about the moms that
No, I'm
want to and
blessed.
don't have that.
I'm 100% blessed. I'm not saying I'm not, you know, like I always say, if I didn't have the village, I don't know how the fuck I'd do it, you know? What I'm saying is those moms that do it all look at me and say, are you a real mom? Because it's like, oh, how did you pick your career over your child? And it's like, I've never picked my career over my child.
Right. It was always juggling both.
Yeah. And it was always like, yes, I didn't cook his food. I didn't cook like his lunches. But dude, if his lunches are not up to my dietary standards, then I'm mad. Like my child can tell you what good carbs are, what bad carbs are, and you can't tell him that all those other people taught him that. What I'm saying is, it's like you can have an amazing relationship with your children, even if you're not the one taking 100% of the bulk, you know? And I feel like if I did have a
You
partner,
sound like my
Like
I
who?
can't hear you. You keep freezing, girl.
no, I said you sound like my husband because
Well,
you know how
that's where I
he has
was
his business.
going. Where I was going is that a lot of the stuff in here, I am a guy, you know? I am. And what gets me is that men can get away with it and I can't.
Yeah,
Right? Like,
it's bad on you as a mother.
yeah, like all these women will say you're not a great mom. And it's like, I've seen you, you've never spoken to your child, you know? And then men, they don't even check in if their child ate, if their child had an after school program, if how they're doing in band. And they don't have a gang of people saying, wow, you're not a good parent.
Right. Just like
But
you're
I get it.
a hard
Everyone
worker, you're working a lot.
everyone else will say, you know, and I'm like, dude, I'm still a great mom. If you meet my child, he's my twin.
So in chapter 2, something that I highlighted was the imposter syndrome. And I'll read it. So for women, feeling like a fraud is a symptom of a greater problem. We consistently underestimate ourselves. Multiple studies in multiple industries show that women often judge their own performance as worse than it actually is, while men judge their own performance as better than it actually is. And it's so true. I'm sure we all do performances every year. At least I know I get those every year in order to get a raise or, get a bonus. And I've been in the medical field for 10 years, and I've been fortunate and unfortunate to work with different types of leaders. And I've worked with a lot of female leaders, and some of them have inspired me, some of them motivated me, some of them I've learned not to be
Put it off a little bit.
down. I don't know what. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I think we've all worked with leaders that don't empower you and in fact put you down, and they don't want to shine the light on you. And I remember having this supervisor and director that were evil. I mean, really evil, that just, didn't recognize, didn't want to, motivate you, just mean people. I only lasted there for 2 years, and I was like, never again. And I have this nice story, but this Wi-Fi just keeps like fucking it up. But now at least I'm thankful that I'm surrounded by great leaders, great women, and they motivate me and they inspire me. So can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good.
I've had some of those too, where like you said, they're the bad ones, and you learn from them. Where it's like, well, I'm not gonna act like that person, and you start either getting into management or you have people under you, and that's one thing that you're like, I'm not repeating how that person treated me, and I'm not gonna treat others like that. You know the feeling of how it was, and you just don't want to repeat it.
Right.
So that's good. That I mean, in some ways, the bad things are the ones you learn from.
And I
It's
think
so true.
it talks about like imposter syndrome, which is like you self-doubting yourself often. And I think that when you have those leadership above you that question you, you question yourself or your validity more than men would.
Exactly. They help. It makes it worse.
Yeah, men, I think when they get criticism, they're more likely to kind of brush it off. And us, it kind of just validates some of the doubt we already have in ourselves, right? Because we're our biggest critics,
Yeah.
you know? And I think she talks about that later on about how women need to build like that emotional resilience to not
Yes,
let
that
the
was actually my highlight that I was gonna read. Oh
Mhm,
yeah.
and men don't need that, you know?
Page 33, right there, is where she says, these experiences taught me that I needed to make both an intellectual and an emotional adjustment. I learned over time that while it was hard to shake feelings of self doubt, I could understand that there was a distortion. I would never possess my brother's effortless confidence, but I could challenge the notion that I was constantly headed for failure. Yeah, I mean, you learn to, like, again, balance, right?
And for me, it's really interesting because I've had these arguments with my mom where I'm like, I get that I've come very far, but I haven't gone far enough. And my
Mhm.
mom's like, yeah, but you're not giving yourself credit for everything you did. I'm like, no, 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 no. I understand. Like, so basically, I understand the distortion. Like, I understand that I give myself a harder time, you know? So I do validate that I've experienced, like, I've accomplished a lot in my lifetime. But I do what she's saying here, where it's like, I feel like such a failure because I'm not where I want to be, right?
Right.
But then I go, okay, I understand that that's my feeling and it's a distortion because I have been, I'm very highly accomplished, you know? But in my eyes, I'm like, I'm a failure. I haven't gone far enough. And and I teach a lot of my patients with this because I'm like, okay, yes, yeah, that could be how you feel. Now, is it real?
Yeah.
You know, like when she talks about the grades, I always say, okay, you think you're gonna fail, but have you ever failed in a class? No.
Yeah.
Well, then what are the chances you're actually gonna fail? Very slim. I'm like,
Why is that's why to that extent now, right?
like it's a distortion, but it's how we feel.
In
Mm-hmm.
page 34, I felt this one was me. So she said, fake it till you feel it.
Oh, that's me too.
I worked at Hogue for almost 5 years, and I think that position really gave me a lot of opportunities for growth. And my director and my manager were both males, and they would be like, "Can you do this?" Like, was yeah, sure, I'll figure it out. And you learn to be resourceful and you learn to figure shit out and obviously get things done. So I want to say that I feel like that did apply to me. I kind of at times I faked it till I make it, but I think it was just my confidence that you've been here for a couple of years, no shit, and people are counting you and it boosts you up that you're like, yeah, I could do it. So
And
fake
it's
it till
like,
you
I
make it.
don't know. And you're like, I don't know, but I will. Like, I will. Let me
Yeah.
just pretend I know what the hell
Just
I'm
think
doing.
it, right?
It really helps, though. Like, it really pushes you forward.
I highlighted in page 34. It says, but feeling confident or pretending that you feel confident is necessary to reach for opportunities.
It
And it's
really
so
is.
true.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
true. I think confidence is what's gotten me this far in my journey in the medical field. So it's better than being shy or being,
Yeah, staying quiet,
yeah.
saying I can, I don't know. I mean, try it.
I underlined, so here it seems like we're the same because everything you've been reading is on 34. So for me on 35, I underlined giving how fast the world moves today, grabbing opportunities is more important than ever. Few managers have the time to carefully consider all applicants for a job, much less convenience for convenience, more reticent people to apply. And increasingly, opportunities are not well defined, but instead come from someone jumping in to do something. And I think that's so true. Like, there's an expression that I learned, and that's, opportunities, they come and they go, right? And I think as women, sometimes we're, like she says, like, we're too cautious. We don't just go for it,
Yeah, we
right?
don't know.
They throw opportunities at us so quickly, and you either take it or you don't. Like, you got to move quick, you know?
Yep. I have learned that definitely this year and last year.
You have to keep opportunities and make an opportunity fit for you rather than the other way around.
Hmm.
Also, this one, she talks about men, um how men don't think to themselves like, "Oh, I've never studied that. Oh, I've never worked in that," you know? They just go, "Oh yeah, I'll take the job." Right?
Yeah.
And for us, we're like, "Am I ready? Am I competent? Am I there yet?" And I know I've had a lot of those moments. So I was like, that really stood out to me.
Yeah, it's very true. And I think that goes back to how, easily men jump on stuff and we have to think about family and kids or other things.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, instead of tweaking your family life, we tweak our work life.
Yeah.
All right. Um, okay. So should we move on to chapter 3?
Yeah. I think that one covers it all, or the majority of it.
No, wait, I want to share something on page 41. Oh, yeah, that
That's
is page 3.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, we're ready then.
Okay. A ver, throw it.
So for chapter 3, success and likability, I highlighted on page 41. Woman excels at her job. Both male and female coworkers will remark that she may be accomplishing a lot, but is not as well liked by her peers. She's probably also too aggressive, not a team player, a bit political, can't be trusted, or difficult. That might sound like you, Jess.
It's funny that I was reading that and a lot of it does apply to me, but it doesn't. I've really mastered being liked. Um, I I'm really, and I've worked with women that I think, "Oh my God, like I want to be just like you. She's amazing," you know? And then I'll have people around me go, "But she's such a bitch." And I'm like, "Dude, but do you not see how driven, motivated, educated, how like outspoken she is?" And to me, I'm like, "This woman's heaven," you know? But
Mhm.
I've really mastered the art of being liked. I'm really good at, and it probably stems from the fact that I'm a therapist, and let's not call it manipulation, but I'm really good at figuring out what you need and what you want and making you feel like you got that from me, and then that way I can excel, you know? So, and she talks about that. She talks about negotiating. She says, um, further down, way further down, she talks about how women need to play this role. And I think I've learned to do it very well, where we can ask for things, but we have to be nice. Like, men don't have to be nice, you know?
Hmm.
Men don't have to be nice. They just need to ask for it. And I think, I do a lot of the traits in here. I'm like, I'm a man. Like, I'm a guy. Like, I do that. I do that. However, I do know how to be nice. Like, I've really mastered that. And, I have people,
Like when it's needed or, when to use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but it's like she says, like for it's a negotiating world. Like you have to know what the other person wants in order to get what you want. And it's so true. It sucks that women need to know that. And I'm glad I've learned it and mastered it very well. But I've seen women that are amazing at their job. I'm just like, oh, I love working with you. You're such a powerful woman. But because they are this way, they're like, well, she's a bitch. It's like
Mm.
she's not doing anything a male wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So do you guys remember when she got that phone call from her friend Lori and that wanted to get a job with her? And how she was stunned because she told her, well, what can I do for you? Or what do you need from me? And it wasn't about what she wanted. She asked her what she needed, and she told her that she needed help recruiting, right? So it brings me back to my interview that I last had, which was, I talked about my accomplishments as a team where I was at Hogue and how successful we were as a team. And she was just so impressed. In the same scenario, I felt where I talked about what I did for my team and what I stand for my team. It was never about what I wanted, what I done, because I felt like I always represented a team at Hogue. And so that's exactly what they were wanting to hear, because apparently they got me the job. Besides being well liked, the interview went well, but now knowing what had happened in the department's needs, pues they had somebody que no quería a nadie. Siempre se pasaba peleando, didn't want to do nobody's job. It was just like the worst person they could ever have in their office. And I came in and it's 360. And yeah, and I go back now and I laugh about it with my boss. And my boss is like, you are just amazing, compared to what we were struggling with in this environment. You came in and just, like Jess said, you when you're well liked, that's something that my parents always told me. Mi papá siempre me dijo, siempre date a querer. No importa que si eres bonita o no, because sometimes, I'm like, smile, personality has a lot to do, but there's nothing like dándote a querer regardless of your actions or anything. You always have to, it's important to get far.
But I think what sucks is that that's something women need to remember, but not men.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where, like, I'm glad I've learned these skills, but it's so sad that we have to.
Yeah.
And I think, and she talks about further along, she says on page 50, she said, everyone needs to get comfortable with female leaders, including female leaders themselves. And, I think we're learning these skills, and she says it like, she's like, I'm sorry that I'm telling you that you have to learn this, you know. Um, However, women learn a skill to build teams. That's what women learn, because you can't go to a job saying, this is what I do, this is what I bring to the table, the way a man does. You have to say, this is how I've helped my team. And in the long run, if we get more women leaders who have learned these rules, right? How many amazing teams wouldn't we have in the world?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a skill that women master and men don't. But we need to have more women in leadership, and more women need to get comfortable with women in leadership. Like for me, we talked about it being Navy. Like I work at an organization that has 5 clinics, and in each clinic, it's all women. All the doctors are women, all the PAs are women, all the RNs, all the MAs, like everyone's a woman. And it was interesting because we've had like male leadership, like CEOs and stuff, but they don't last. And right now, the head of my department is a female, the CEO is a female. Like it's so incredible to see how much leadership there is in this organization that are women. And okay, I have the riddle, guys. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
Right. So wait, let's touch, because we talked about this last night,
Uh-huh.
and it's important. And I asked you, okay, so what age, right?
Yes, that was a good question. Yeah. So most of the women, and she talks about that too, right? How like the upcoming generation is taking more advantage of, progressing. And it's true. Most of the nurses, I mean, most of the doctors and stuff are between 35 and 45. Like they're not older. They're,
Just
good.
starting.
Yeah. And they're a generation that they took that opportunity that was paved by women way before them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I work with a lot of directors that are over 55 that have been in the game for over 25 years, that have been doing this for a long time. So, but you brought the fact the physicians, right? So, doctors as well, majority males
Mhm.
versus female.
That's why when I started working in this organization, I was like looking around one day and I was like, do you guys realize this isn't normal?
Hmm.
Do you guys realize no organization exists like this? And I was impressed. I was like, oh my God. So,
That's
okay,
awesome.
so let me tell you guys how we're so conditioned. Ready?
Uh-huh.
So, riddle. A man and his son are in a car accident. The man dies. They rush the child to the hospital. The doctor sees him and says, I can't operate on my child. Who's the doctor?
The father?
The father died in the car accident.
The father, what? One more
You're
time.
so listen to the riddle and then remember that you're being conditioned, right? This shows us how conditioned you are. Ready?
Mhm.
A man and a child are driving in a car. They crash. The man dies. They rush the child to the hospital. The doctor looks at him and says, I cannot operate on my child.
Why? You said a man. Tanya, you don't know if it was his father or not, so his father was operating.
Okay, so a father and a son are driving in a car.
No.
Okay, the father dies. They rush the child to the hospital. The doctor says, I cannot operate on my child. Who's the doctor?
The dad.
How?
The
He died.
grandfather.
How? Okay, now pay attention to how the fact we're reading this book. Who else can be a doctor?
The mother. Oh my God.
Güey, pues no dijiste que la mamá estaba en el carro.
No,
What?
tiene que ver
Amy,
la
you're
madre
way
en el
off.
carro.
The doctor is the mom.
Oh my God. Wow. That just hit me.
And it's crazy because I asked this to a room full of female doctors.
And
And
then
they
I
all said
said
the
it.
That's how badly conditioned we are. When we hear doctor, we think man.
Oh my God. I can't believe I just did that.
I was more stuck on the who was in the car and if they hit somebody else, the other person wanted to save their life.
This is what overanalyzing does to people.
Analytical.
You know me, I do that. I do that a lot.
And you failed because
That is so crazy. Oh my God.
so that's how conditioned we are. That we hear the word doctor, and no woman thinks I can be a doctor. This
Yeah.
was a room full of female doctors that couldn't answer the question.
Were they in shock?
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, we're so conditioned. Like it's the mom. So, ladies, great book. Like we could probably do like 10 hours of this, but we're gonna cut it.
Yes.
And I hope everyone's reading and catching up. Stay safe in your quarantined lives.
Tabs?
Keep tabs, highlight, underline. Please continue to take pictures of what you're reading and send it to us.
Yeah,
This book
such a
is
good book.
amazing.
Recommend it to the men.
Recommend it to all the men in your lives. Right, Navy?
And I don't know if we said it. Did we say it that she is the COO of Facebook? I don't think we
Yeah, I
mentioned
said
that.
it at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, this is such a good book.
So again, if you hear the word CEO, it can be a woman.
Mhm.
Don't forget. Doctor, they can be women. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for all the, continued reading during this time.
Yeah, continue to self-care. I know it's a little hard since everybody's already just stuck at home and can't really do anything, but find a special space, you know, a different room in the house, even on a walk. I sometimes just sit in my car before coming into the house and to the craziness, and that's where I'll do my little reading, put some music, or like I've done it before, get to work, 'cause I'm still working. I get to work a little early and get my reading in there too. So still try to squeeze it in, ladies. Amigas, you gotta continue to self-care any way you guys can. And it's
Yeah.
Easter this tomorrow. So make sure you guys do something fun with family and your kids. We gotta continue to do some memories and nice traditions.
But stay quarantined, keep your distance, keep us
Stay
safe.
home.
We're health workers, so at least me and
Wear a
Nate,
mask.
wear a mask, please. This is all real. All right, guys. Bye, amigas.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.